Somewhere in the Bering Sea right now, about 200 miles from the nearest town, a guy is waking up for work, but he doesn't know if it's morning or night. He hasn't seen the sun in 3 days. His alarm says 5:15, but that number stopped meaning anything 2 weeks ago. He shares a room the size of a closet with 3 other men. He owns exactly 1 locker and 1 drawer, and the only reason he's getting out of bed is because a foreman is physically pounding on his door. But here's the thing, he'll do this every single day for the next month. And when he finally gets back to land, he could walk away with $13,000 in cash. This is what daily life actually looks like on a factory trawler, and almost none of it is what you'd expect. To really understand how strange this routine is, you need to understand the ship itself. We're talking about vessels like the Alaska Ocean, which stretches 376 feet long, with 143 people crammed inside. It's half fishing boat, half industrial factory, and it never stops running. The processing floor operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's always a shift working, so while half the crew is sleeping, the other half is elbow deep in pollock on a conveyor belt that doesn't have a pause button. The Bering Sea underneath them is barely above freezing. Waves regularly hit 30 feet, and the nearest hospital is a helicopter ride away, if it can even get to you. And this floating world has its own rhythm, its own culture, and some genuinely bizarre habits that wouldn't make sense anywhere else on Earth. So what does a typical day actually look like? Let's say you're a processor, which is where almost every new hire starts. Your alarm goes off at 5:15 a.m. The foreman bangs your door. You roll out of a bunk that's basically a coffin with a mattress, get dressed in the dark, trying not to elbow your roommate, and stumble up to the galley. Breakfast is the same thing every single morning. Scrambled eggs, pancakes, hash browns. Every morning. For weeks. You've got about 30 minutes to eat, and then you head to the rain gear room where 30 other half-asleep people are pulling on rubber boots and fish-stained jackets. The smell is so thick you could chew it. But here's the weird part. After about 5 days, you genuinely can't smell it anymore. Your brain just shuts that sense off. By 6 o'clock, you're on the factory floor. And this is where things get really strange. Because your job for the next 6 to 12 hours is to feed fish into a machine called a Barda 182 at a rate of 145 fish per minute. That's more than 2 fish every single second. You grab a pollock, drop it in a tray, grab the next one. Drop it over and over for hours. If you miss a tray, the whole line loses money. The machine doesn't slow down for you. After a while, your hands start moving on their own and your mind goes somewhere else entirely. Veteran crew members say they can hold full conversations, think about their kids, plan their entire week while their hands keep feeding fish at 2 per second without missing a beat. It becomes completely automatic, like your body is running a program your brain wrote weeks ago. And the job titles on these ships sound like they came out of a video game. Entry-level workers are literally called slimers. Then you've got flippers, who straighten fillets on a light table, and candlers, who inspect each piece for bones and parasites under fluorescent glow. There's a whole crew whose only job is managing the freezer, which runs at temperatures cold enough to flash freeze a block of fish solid in under an hour. Meanwhile, another team is turning leftover fish parts into surimi, which is basically a washed paste that gets shaped into the imitation crab you buy at the grocery store. All of this is happening simultaneously, below deck, on a ship that's rocking in 30-foot swells. Now here's where the daily routine gets really weird, because the factory never shuts down. The crew operates on a 6 on, 6 off rotation. That means you work 6 hours, sleep 6 hours, work 6, sleep 6. Day and night stop existing. The sun might be up during your shift, or it might not. During winter in the Bering Sea, you might go entire weeks without ever seeing daylight because your waking hours are all spent below deck under fluorescent lights. Your body loses track of what time zone it's in, what day of the week it is, sometimes even what month. Crew members have described walking up to the deck after a shift and being shocked to find out it's actually 2 in the afternoon and not the middle of the night. And then there's the eating schedule, which is unlike anything on land. Because of the rotating shifts, the galley serves 5 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, a midnight meal, and an early morning meal. Some crew members eat what's technically dinner at 3 a.m. Others are having breakfast foods at 9 p.m. Your stomach just learns to eat whenever food is available because you never know when your next break lines up with when the galley is open. The social dynamics on board are just as unusual. On a ship like the Northern Hawk, you've got 129 people from over a dozen countries, speaking different languages, sharing bathrooms, working shoulder to shoulder for weeks straight. One reporter who went aboard found a married couple who both work the processing line together, a guy from Harlem who does his morning prayers at 6 a.m. in the forward change room before every shift, and a group of Filipino workers who dominated the nightly dominoes tournaments in the mess hall. The captain, meanwhile, was pacing laps around the wheelhouse just to get his steps in, and hopping on a treadmill between checking his sonar screens. People build these little micro routines to keep from losing their minds, because without them, the days blur together into one long, fish-scented loop. There's also the matter of what you can't do. For years, there was 0 cell phone service. You'd go 3 weeks or more completely cut off from everyone you know. Some newer ships have installed Starlink satellite internet, which has been a massive shift. But before that, you'd sign a contract, get on a boat in Seattle, and basically disappear from the world until the hold was full. When you dock in Dutch Harbour to offload, you get maybe a few hours on land, but even that time is tricky because offloading is actually the hardest physical work of the whole trip, and it's also your only chance to sleep. So you're choosing between calling your family, buying supplies at the one store in town, or collapsing in your bunk. And if something goes wrong with your body out there, you're on your own. There's no doctor on board. The captain and crew handle medical emergencies with whatever training and supplies they've got. If it's serious enough, you're waiting for a Coast Guard helicopter that has to fly 200 miles over open ocean to reach you. Crew members have set broken fingers, dealt with deep cuts from filleting knives, and managed infections, all without professional medical help. That's just part of the deal. So why does anyone sign up for this? Well, the money is real. A single trip can pay anywhere from $4,500 to $13,000, depending on the catch. Since you can't spend a dime while you're at sea, every cent of that gets saved. And there's something about the Bering Sea that keeps pulling people back. One deckhand who originally took the job to pay for college ended up skipping school entirely because he was already earning over $100,000 a year in his early 20s. The captain of the Northern Hawk has been doing this since right after high school, and he's been at it for over 40 years now. The routine is bizarre. The hours are brutal. Your entire life shrinks down to a bunk, a conveyor belt, and a galley. But 143 people keep showing up every season because somewhere in that strange, fish-soaked loop, the math makes sense. And if you want to see what it looks like when one of these ships actually goes down in the Bering Sea, that video is right here. Hit subscribe if you want more stories from the jobs nobody talks about.